Hey guys, welcome to BP, the Bible Perspective. You know, the national conversation has shifted from one of healthcare, meaning the how do we solve the coronavirus epidemic, to one of we need to reopen the nation. And in some cases, people say that we need to reopen the nation at all costs, even at the expense of the elderly. Now, as one who is 60 years old, I take great exception to that. And by the way, doesn't this kind of smacks of evolution or Nazism? And worse, I thought these guys were pro-life. Now, before I get into it, please like and share this video and subscribe to BP, the Bible Perspective. And as always, if you have a thought or comment, add it to the comments section below. All comments are welcome. Well, the toll of the coronavirus is really crippling our economy. It's not only costing lives and health. In America, we are 2-to-1 over all nations, meaning we have 675,000 infected people. Like I say, that's outpacing every other nation by 2-to-1. And not only that, but of course, with the stay-at-home restrictions, which the reason why we have those restrictions is to contain, slow down, and stop the spread of the virus, which we have no cure for. But there are those who are saying now that, well, we need to get the economy back on track because, of course, people staying home can't go out and generate income, spend money, stimulate the economy. All true. But then there are those Republican and certain conservative leaders that suggest that we should even do that at the expense of people dying. Conservative talk host Glenn Beck says that the elderly should be willing to die to save the economy. Indiana Congressman Trey Hollingsworth and Texas Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick even suggested the same, that the elderly people should die or be willing to die for the future to save the economy. The problem is these guys I thought were pro-life, championing the unborn, right? Saving the life of the unborn. I guess they would champion the life of the unborn, but when it comes to the elderly, you can die. And not only that, but it's this kind of bizarre idealism here, and I'm going to get to me what the bottom of it is, but this bizarre thing smacks of Nazism, killing off the undesirables. And I know they're not saying that, but just think, the fact that they would even offer that. And how about this? Evolution. One of the things about evolution is the survival of the fittest. In other words, if you're weak, evolution is going to wipe you out and only the strong to survive. And of course, back then, even evolution had a kind of racial tone to it, that the reason why the black man is so subservient, because, he didn't evolve. He didn't evolve the way evolution designed for him to evolve. But be that as it may, be that as it may, this whole point of the Republican, quote-unquote, pro-life people suggesting that people should die. I have a better solution. Make better leadership decisions. You see, back on January 21st, our president received the news that the same day, by the way, the same day that South Korea, we reported our first COVID case. The question is, the tale of two nations is, what did our nation do as opposed to South Korea? South Korea has had one of the best results in containing the virus, and yet they didn't even implement the restrictions that America have. America has implemented the restrictions, and yet we're still climbing. As I said, over 675,000 infected people. Now, what is the difference? Leadership, okay, that's my swipe. But one of the things, what did South Korea do? Now, some people may try to say, well, they got a smaller population. No, the virus is the virus. That's the whole point. And the spreading and infection rate is the same all over the world. Here is the difference. South Korea implemented aggressive testing. And by doing that, you are able to identify, infected people, one, to isolate them, two, treat them. Well, we didn't do that. America didn't do anything. January, we go into February, we go into March. And basically all we did was restrict people. But it hasn't worked because the virus is still spreading. And now with the conversation being turned to, we need to reopen the nation, even at the expense of now letting other people being infected. There's one guy who suggested what they call a herd immunity, meaning, hey, let the people mix so they can get it. The idea of that, just like, when they introduced chicken pox, I'm not a doctor. I'm not going to even try to pretend to be a doctor. But the notion of this herd immunity is that the more you get people out there by the masses so that we can get coronavirus, into the gene pool, right? But of course they say, hey, people are going to die, but let them die out so that we can get the gene pool going. Again, as an elderly person, as you can see, sometimes I have even breathing issues. I've been having this for a couple of years, y'all, by the way. So when you see me kind of cough, it's not coronavirus. I've had this for a couple of years. And only when I'm talking, too, by the way. I'm an active bicycle rider. I bike 14 miles a day when I'm riding my bike to work. And I go to the gym, I work out, whatever. But this one little respiratory issue. I wonder if I was to be infected, how it would affect me. Doesn't mean that I need to die, and I certainly don't subscribe to dying. And no, I don't want to die so to save the economy. Glenn Beck, you can die all you want, okay? But my point is, we can make better decisions. So rather than having those draconian or barbaric or just plain evil solutions, how about this? Let's make better decisions. And even now, should we not have aggressive testing? The point is now, with 675,000 people affected and growing, would it be as effective? I don't know. But certainly it can be a start at this point that we can implement not letting people die off. To me, and by the way, even if we let people die off, is that still going to stop the infection rate? There's so many things that's wrong with that scenario that it's just amazing to me. There's so much that's wrong. But here's my point. I thought they were pro-life. If you're pro-life, aren't you for life? Or is it that you just for the life of the unborn? Which, by the way, most of them who claim to be pro-life are not really pro-life. Because you know what? They sneak their girlfriends and their mistresses in there to get abortion, okay? And the very fact that they will concede on the fact that they support abortion in the case of rape and incest, okay? But I digress, okay? My point is that if you really say that you're pro-life, then isn't all life precious in God's sight? It is. How do we know that? Because John 3:16 tells us that God loved the world in this way, that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him will not perish but have everlasting life. You see, God values the world. He values life. And so therefore, at the hands of men who at the top of the leadership, and let me just say, by the way, why they're so anxious to reopen the economy. Some of it is legitimate because, again, I work for the government. And I can tell you right now that if people are not out making purchases and stimulating the economy, there's not going to be tax dollars for me to get paid, okay? So yeah, there's a trickle-down effect. But here's my point. Make no mistake about it, that a lot of these, the leaders, the millionaires and the billionaires, they're losing millions. That's why they want to reopen the nation. And that's, of course, is one of these things where, hey, it all works out. But should we do it at the expense of health and life? Let me say that. If you reopen reopen the nation, how will that fare? Especially remember when we have an active virus and an active high spread rate. At any rate, though, just remember, safe distance, wash your hands, and protect yourself. Because apparently there are some people that won't, and they are more than willing to offer you on the sacrifice of money. That's my perspective, and as always, like and share this video. If you have a comment or thought, add it below, and please subscribe to BP, The Bible Perspective. Till next time, I'll see you then.